There is a lie that speaks softly, but cuts deeply. It tells you that because of where you have been, because of what you have done, because of what was done to you, your future must now shrink to match your past. It says, God may forgive you, but He will never fully trust you, never truly use you, never place beauty where there was once brokenness. And many people stop dreaming not because God said no, but because shame convinced them they were disqualified. Rahab's story stands like a holy interruption to that lie. She was not born into honor. She was known for the worst chapter of her life, labeled by her sin, defined by her survival. And if anyone looked unfit for God's purposes, it was her. Yet when God began to move, He did not start by cleaning up her reputation. He started by calling her heart, while the city around her was marked for destruction. God was quietly writing redemption into her future. This is where Romans speaks with power, not pretending that pain was good, not denying that sin had consequences, but declaring that God weaves even the darkest threads into something purposeful, meaning your past does not vanish. It transforms. It stops being a sentence and becomes a testimony, stops being a chain and becomes a door. Rahab did not have a clean history, but she had courageous faith, and God honored the faith she offered, not the shame she carried. He placed her inside the story of salvation itself, proving that God does not choose people because their past is pure, but because their heart is willing. This is where the lie begins to crack, because if God can redeem her story, He has not finished with yours. Most people want God to build a future without touching the past. They want a miracle that skips the mess, a calling that ignores the scars, a purpose that does not mention the chapters they are ashamed of. But God does not heal by pretending. He heals by redeeming. He takes what you thought ruined you and turns it into the very place His grace becomes visible. Rahab did not get rescued because she hid her past. She was rescued while standing inside it. The same house that represented her shame became the place of salvation. The same window once associated with secrecy became the exit through which her future escaped. God did not ask her to move first. He asked her to trust first, and trust always comes before transformation. Romans reminds us that God does not waste pain, not the kind you caused, and not the kind you survived. He does not excuse it, but He does repurpose it, weaving even regret into redemption, even failure into formation, even loss into leadership. And suddenly, what once felt like evidence against you becomes proof of His grace through you. The enemy wants you to believe your past disqualifies you, because shame keeps you small, silent, hidden. But God reveals His power most clearly through redeemed lives, not flawless ones. And every time you believe the lie that you are too broken to be used, you underestimate what grace is capable of doing. There is a sacred moment when you realize that God is not asking you to deny your past. He is asking you to stop letting it speak louder than His promise. Because shame has a voice, and it is persistent. It reminds you of names you were called, choices you regret, nights you wish you could undo. And if you are not careful, you start living as if yesterday has more authority than grace. Rahab believed before she belonged, before she was accepted, before her life made sense. She chose faith while still standing in the middle of her mess, and that is what changed everything. Her courage did not erase her history, but it redirected it. God did not pull her out and discard her story. He wove her into something eternal, turning survival into significance, turning a broken past into a foundation for generations. This is the truth many struggle to accept. God does not wait for you to become perfect before He calls you forward. He calls you forward so He can perfect what is broken. Your past does not scare Him. It does not surprise Him. It does not limit Him. The only thing that delays your future is believing the lie that you must earn what grace already offers. You are not behind because of your past. You are only delayed when you agree with shame. The moment you believe that God can use even this, even you, something shifts, the future opens, and the story begins to move again. There is a freedom that comes when you finally stop trying to outrun your past and start trusting God to redeem it. Because your future was never built on your perfection. It was built on His purpose. Romans declares that God works all things together, not some things, not only the good parts, all things. And that means nothing in your story is wasted unless you refuse to place it in His hands. Rahab did not just survive, she was included, welcomed, woven into the lineage of redemption itself. The woman once marked by shame became a mother in the line that led to salvation, not because she earned it, but because she believed. God did not rewrite her past. He redefined its meaning, proving that grace does not erase history, it transforms it. This is where hope becomes dangerous to despair. Because if God can take what you regret most and use it for good, then shame loses its grip, fear loses its argument, and the future opens wider than you imagined. Your past may explain your wounds, but it does not get to decide your destiny. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. The same God who rescued Rahab is still weaving stories out of broken threads. And the moment you stop hiding and start believing, redemption moves from theory to reality. Your past spoke loudly, but grace speaks last. Let's pray. God, I come to you carrying memories I wish I could erase. Chapters of my story I learned to hide. Choices that still echo in my conscience. I've wondered more than once if my past quietly disqualified me, if certain doors closed forever because of who I was. But then I remember Rahab, a woman known for her past, yet chosen for her faith, woven into redemption, even into the lineage of promise. You say that you work all things together for good, not just the clean parts, not just the impressive ones, but even the broken, the shameful, the misunderstood. I confess how often I believed my history spoke louder than your grace. Teach my heart to trust that you are not embarrassed by where I came from, that you don't redeem me despite my past, but through it. I don't ask you to deny what happened. I ask you to redefine what it means. I place my future in your hands, daring to believe that nothing surrendered to you has the final word, except grace. Lord, my past has a voice. It reminds me of labels I once wore, mistakes that shaped how others saw me, patterns I struggled to escape. I confess how easily I let those memories decide what I'm allowed to hope for. Rahab's reputation should have kept her outside the promise. Yet you brought her in, not by ignoring her past, but by honoring her faith. Teach me that identity is not fixed by history. It is formed by your mercy. When shame tries to speak first, let your truth interrupt it. When fear tells me I'm disqualified, remind me that you specialize in unlikely futures. I don't want to spend my life apologizing for who I was. I want to live as someone you are redeeming. Let courage rise where regret once lived. Let obedience grow where fear once ruled. I stay here, letting you rewrite my sense of worth, trusting that the same grace that welcomed Rahab is shaping a future for me, not limited by my past, but transformed by your purpose. Father, sometimes the hardest battle is not with what others remember, but with what I remember about myself. The past replays in quiet moments, reminding me of who I was before you intervened. I confess how that memory makes me hesitate, hold back, disqualify myself before you ever do. Rahab stepped forward in faith while still surrounded by the evidence of her old life. Teach me that faith does not wait for a spotless record. It responds to your promise. Help me stop using yesterday as a ceiling over tomorrow. I don't want to approach my future timidly, as if grace might run out. Let bold trust replace hidden fear. Let obedience grow from gratitude, not from trying to prove I've changed enough. I place my history at your feet, or not arguing it away, but surrendering its power. I choose to believe that you are not finished with me, and that what you are building ahead is not limited by what stands behind. God, I notice how fear of the past quietly shapes my choices. I play small, delay obedience, avoid calling, because I'm afraid my history will resurface and undo everything. I confess how often I tried to protect my future by hiding my story. But you never asked Rahab to erase where she came from. You asked her to trust you where she stood. Teach me that transparency is not a threat to redemption. It is often the pathway to it. Break the lie that says I must be flawless to be faithful or finished to be chosen. Let my obedience be immediate, not postponed by insecurity. I don't want to wait until I feel qualified to follow you. I want to move when you speak, trusting that grace goes ahead of me. When fear warns me that my past will catch up, remind me that you already redeemed it. I step forward now, not hiding, not shrinking, but trusting that the God who calls me also covers me, and that my future is safer in your hands than my past ever was. Lord, I begin to see how redemption changes the direction of my story, not by denying where I've been, but by transforming how I walk forward. Rahab didn't stay defined by her past. She became known for her faith. Teach me that my future obedience carries more weight than my former failures. I confess how often I expected punishment where you intended purpose. How I braced for rejection when you were offering belonging. Let grace quiet the inner voice that says I'll always be that person. Replace it with truth, that I am who you say I am now. When opportunities arise, help me step into them without hesitation, without apologizing for the work you've already done in me. I don't want to live cautiously around your promises. I want to receive them fully. Let confidence grow, not from self-trust, but from trust in your redeeming power. I walk forward today, aware of my past, but no longer governed by it, believing that the God who works all things together for good is shaping a future that reflects your mercy, not my mistakes. Father, there are moments when grace feels almost unbelievable, when the distance between who I was and who you're calling me to be feels too wide. I confess how easily I question whether restoration can truly reach that far. Rahab trusted you with her future while still standing in the ruins of Jericho. Teach me to trust you in the middle of transition, before everything looks resolved. Let me believe that obedience today matters more than perfection yesterday. When fear tells me I'll repeat old patterns, remind me that you also renew the heart, not just the record. I don't want to live suspicious of my own redemption. I want to live grateful for it. Strengthen my confidence in your transforming work, not in my willpower. Let my future be built on dependence, not self-protection. I place tomorrow in your hands, without conditions, without disclaimers, trusting that you are not leading me forward to expose my past, but to display your grace. through a life continually being made new. Lord, as I keep walking with you, I notice how my past loses its grip, not because it disappears, but because your presence grows stronger. Rahab didn't earn a new future by proving herself. She trusted you when everything around her said she didn't belong. Teach me to rest in belonging, not in performance. When old memories try to pull me backward, anchor me in what you're doing now. I don't want to negotiate with shame anymore. I want to live freely, openly, courageously. Let my faith speak louder than my history. Let my obedience outpace my fear. I choose to believe that you are more committed to my future than I am afraid of my past. Shape my character through grace, not guilt. Let the confidence of being chosen replace the anxiety of being exposed. I remain here, grateful, available, trusting that you are writing a story that doesn't deny where I came from, but glorifies you in where I'm going. God, I feel the courage rising to tell the truth about my story, not to relive it, but to release it. I no longer want to edit myself around your calling, or shrink back when you invite me forward. Rahab tied the scarlet cord in her window, visible, public, an act of trust that declared where her hope truly was. Teach me that surrender sometimes looks like visibility, not hiding. Let my testimony become a doorway for others, not a weapon against myself, when fear warns that my past will define me. Remind me that redemption has already spoken louder. I don't want to protect my future by silence. I want to steward it with faith. Give me boldness to say yes when you call, even if my hands still tremble. Let courage grow where secrecy once lived. Let trust replace self-doubt. I step into the light you provide, believing that the same grace that rescued me now sends me forward, covered, called, and no longer disqualified. Father, I notice how my future feels less fragile now, not because my past vanished, but because it no longer controls me. The fear of being found out is losing its power, replaced by trust that you already know me fully and still call me forward. I'm learning to walk without constantly looking over my shoulder, without waiting for disqualification to arrive. Teach me to steward this freedom carefully, not recklessly, not fearfully, but faithfully. When reminders of my old life surface, let them deepen humility, not revive shame. Let wisdom born from grace guide my decisions. I don't want to prove that I'm different. I want to live transformed, quietly, consistently, rooted in truth. I carry my story now without apology, not because it was painless, but because you redeemed it. I move ahead with peace, trusting that the God who worked good from my past is still shaping a future where purpose outweighs regret, and grace continues to lead me forward. Lord, my past is still part of my story, but it is no longer the judge of my future. I see now that you never called me based on perfection. You called me by grace, just as you wove Rahab into redemption. You have woven my history into your purpose. I release the final fear that I will always be one step away from disqualification. I choose trust, not in my consistency, but in yours. Let my future unfold without apology, without hesitation, without the need to constantly explain where I came from. I walk forward, knowing that you work all things together for good. Even the parts I once tried to bury. My life is not proof of my moral strength. It is evidence of your mercy. Thank you for not discarding me, for not redefining me by my worst moment, for calling me forward with confidence. I step into what you have prepared, free, restored, and unafraid, because my past no longer disqualifies me, and my future is secure in your hands. Amen. May the Lord's grace and peace accompany you today. Thank you for joining us in this moment of prayer.